Welcome back to the establishment on AM 700 KBYR Alaska Talks Air. If you're tuning in to hear jogging advice, you are listening to the wrong show. We are not going to talk jogging. We may talk cycling later. You never know. If you tuned in to hear Brendan Berger, he is out this week, but you can still hear him on the advertisements during the break, so that keeps it, warm.
He is on York Cycles.
Yeah, he's on top.
And we play that a lot apparently down here.
It's been an exciting day. We had Brad Keithley on in the last hour to talk about the legislature and the budget impasse that we're currently facing. Calling in now from Alaska Commons, which, I don't always get my news online, but when I do, I often go to the Alaska Commons website. We have John Aronno. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Amazingly, yes. I think you're the one person in Alaska who's actually gotten it right.
I'm not sure
Thank
many
you,
other
sir.
pronunciations. Oh, no worries. Thank you for joining us. Alaska Commons has done a really good job at covering the special session, just covering the legislature in general.
Thank you.
And the Assembly. You guys are really doing a great job filling, a void out there.
We've been lucky. This is the first year we've actually had 2 full-time reporters, so it's helped tremendously.
That's good. And no offense to others out there, but your guys' writing is good and editing is good.
Thank you.
I mean, there's another blog that's popular with the left-leaning crowd, and just the writing is so conversationalist. I can't stand it.
I will offer no comment on that.
Okay, good. Don't take sides. So the legislature in the special session, other than obviously the operating budget and capital budget and all those good things, the governor asked them to deal with what's often known as Erins Law. What exactly is Erins Law, for one? I know you guys have been covering this. Where are we? I know Senator Dunleavy from the Valley was dealing with that, I believe, in the Education Committee.
Yeah, so Erins Law is named after Erin. She's a sexual assault survivor from Illinois. She's made it her mission in life to go state to state and pass this law that's structured around requiring sexual assault and awareness and prevention education in K through 12 schools. So she's been successful in a couple of dozen states already. So this isn't, reinventing the wheel or anything like that. And it's been tremendously successful, especially if you look at statistics in Rhode Island and her home state of Illinois. Sexual assault rates have dropped. And in Alaska, which seems kind of like a good place to try that out, given that we lead the nation in every category of sexual violence. This is the second year that we've tried to get the law passed here. Garen Tarr, representative from Russian Jack area in Anchorage, carried it last year. And then this year, 4 different lawmakers introduced the bill. Polls really well with constituents. Everybody wanted to get behind it. So bipartisan support. Garen Tarr introduced the bill. Berta Gardner, the Senate Minority Leader, introduced a bill. Senator Lisa McGuire introduced a bill. And then House Majority Leader Charisse Millett introduced a bill. All identical for Erins Law.
So it has generally bipartisan support. More or less.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, you get those bills every year where somebody introduces it and then everybody signs on as a co-sponsor. And in terms of House Bill 44, which is Charisse Millett's version of Erins Law, that was the case. The weird part was then for the bulk of the legislature, nothing happened with it. And Garen Tarr's bill, never even got a hearing. The other 3 bills all got hearings and all strangely ended up stuck in the Senate Education Committee, of which Senator Mike Dunleavy of Wasilla is the chair.
Just a dumb question. If they all entered the same bill, why didn't they just enter one bill with 4 co-sponsors? Am I wrong with that?
Oh, no, okay, so it was, for the most part, out of confusion. 3 of the bills were introduced during pre-filed legislation.
Okay.
So Garen Tarr, just I mean, she's been committed to this bill. She's worked with Erin a lot. So she, filed it again. Majority Leader Sharice Millett decided it was a good idea. She pre-filed it. Bert Gardner filed her Senate legislation as companion legislation. So, it was just
It just
people
happened.
from...
All right.
Yeah. The thing that's really interesting to me is just the fact that, except for Garantar's legislation, all of them had activity and all of them ended up in Senate education, including, Sharice Millett's version passed the House with huge support. I think it was 34-6. And for whatever reason, Senator Dunleavy was inspired to play Pokemon and collect them all, and then just sit on all of those bills and do nothing with them until there was a public outcry and it was mentioned in the special session.
Well, they did. I mean, they did have to go through his committee, one way or the other. Yeah.
But when when you say that it's supposed to go through his committee, there's actually an assumption of movement to go through his committee and to the next one, and then to be voted on by the Senate. It's not really common that you have three identical bills go to one committee and none of them advance to the next committee. That's just odd.
I know he was wanting to hold them hostage. And the only complaint about Erins Law that I've heard that makes any sense at all, I think, is the idea that this is an unfunded mandate. Making telling schools, well, you have to teach this, and then not, either paying for it or providing any sort of curriculum or anything.
Agreed.
That's the only complaint I've heard that makes any sense. Although I know some people on the right are saying this is a sensitive issue, or this should only be taught at home or something. Which, if the abuser is at home, then it just doesn't make any sense.
There's the reality that there's where's the incentive to opt your kid out of this? Well, if you don't want them to know about it, and if you don't want them to know about it, well, there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah,
in a perfect world, this is taught at home, but I can, I never got a birds and bees discussion when I was growing up, and I never had any sort of education in terms of, sexual assault or anything like that.
I was lucky. My dad's a large animal veterinarian. I got the birds and bees from the from the cows and the bulls. It worked out.
That's how you want to get it. But the reality is, we often tend to pretend that the perfect world that we dream up is the everyday case for every family. And we had about 300 claims of sexual assault in April alone. Our own personal ideal is not the standard.
Well, especially in a state like this. I mean, some basics should probably be taught at some point, and I don't understand how. I just do not understand the. Frankly, Senator Dunleavy is making a big pile of hay out of nothing. It should have just went through his committee, and yay. The other bill that, frankly, is a big unfunded mandate was that constitutional bill, or constitutionalism from Seton. I don't think that went anywhere, but it was
from Keller.
Keller, yeah. No one was complaining about that being an unfunded mandate, but
right. No, it is an unfunded mandate, and that is problematic. Unfortunately, the reality and the reason we're talking about, why being an unfunded mandate is a big deal is because we have so damn many of them.
Yeah.
David Holthouse, who testified in support of Erins Law, I thought he had a pretty reasonable, proposal. He's also a sex assault survivor in Alaska, and he basically said, prioritize them. This sort of education is more important than other unfunded mandates that we currently have on the books. And you can go on the ASB's website, Department of Education and Early Development, and they have a list of all of the unfunded mandates. We can get rid of a few, and I don't think we'll be any worse for the wear. And this is needed right now.
The one thing in particular, I guess, teachers and a lot of leaders of youth organizations already go through an education where they're taught how to spot sexual assault and have to report it. How does Erins Law, I guess, fill a perceived gap in coverage of sexual assault education and identifying it?
Well, number one, there's curriculum that's based to tell the children, these are people who you can come to and talk to. If it lets them know what is bad touch, what is good touch. Not that there's a lot of good touch when you're in kindergarten. But it teaches kids what the signs are, how to recognize that something wrong is occurring, and it identifies your teacher or public officials at the school as people you can go to, and it trains.
Hey, John, I'm up against it. We're going to finish this after the break, all right?
No problem.
All right, stay tuned to the establishment right here on AM 700 KBYR. Alaska Talks here. I'll tell you why. This is the place to be offended. That's our job here at the establishment, is to defend your American right to be offended. To help me offend you, we have John Aronno from Alaska Commons, which isn't really why he's here. He's here to explain what's going on in the legislature, what's going on with Erins Law. Before the break, we were sort of going over the unfunded mandate issue that seems to have arisen for no good reason, and why this bill has been stuck in Senator Dunleavy's Senate Education Committee for so long. John, you still there?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you for sticking with us.
Thanks for having me. So,
they're still having hearings about this. Where are we going with Erins Law, and is it going to make it through? I assume it will. The public backlash against Senator Dunleavy's stance and his amendments and sort of holding this thing hostage appear to be making a difference. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right in terms of something is going to get through. What that bill looks like, at this point you might need a horse whisperer to tell you about, but the biggest problem right now is Senator Dunleavy used the opportunity. Governor Bill Walker specifically asked that Erins Law be included in the special session. Now we're in the second special session, which the legislature called, which means Governor Walker's proclamation doesn't mean anything. They really have sole discretion now in terms of what they deal with. Senator Dunleavy took House Bill 44, which was Cherise Millette's version of Erins Law, which was identical to all the other ones, with the added component of teen dating violence, which strengthened it. And he took two other bills, House Bill 80, which was Representative Lynn Gaddis's bill to exempt Alaskan students from assessment tests like the SAT, the ACT, word keys. He put that in the bill, and he also put his own bill, Senate Bill 89, in there, which is a quote-unquote religious liberties bill or parental rights bill that allows parents to not only opt their kids out of the sexual assault awareness and prevention education, it forces them to, for children to be included in the program, parents would have to expressly give their consent, opting them in via written permission.
You physically would have to opt into this education?
Yes.
Why? Okay, who thought that was a good idea to add to this?
Senator Dunleavy. It's his bill. He introduced it standalone. SB 89 basically was a giant, what they say is parental rights bill, and the original text of the bill, a parent could opt their kid out of any program pertaining to reproductive health for any religious reason, including taking them out of school for a day, for a holiday, as long as they said it was for religious purposes. So he rolled that into Erins Law, and it basically, it's absolutely antithetical to the purpose of the bill, which is to equip our kids with tools to recognize and be able to report and save themselves away from this abuse, which is just an epidemic in our state. So, if that's the bill that is before the legislature right now, and they would have to amend it to remove all of the crap that Senator Dunleavy added on to it.
That'd have to be reconciled with the House version at some kind, would it? Or would the House have to pass this Senate bill? Like, are they still tied together? More or less?
They're still tied together. So the Senate would have to pass it, and then it would have to be reconciled in the House. So the House would have to vote again on it. I know that some representatives, Representative Harriet Drummond, for instance, she explicitly said that if it came back before the House, she would not vote for it. She would remove herself as a co-sponsor. So it would have a really rough time, as is right now, the way that Senator Dunleavy's amended it, passing either chamber, honestly. So we'll see where that goes. It makes no sense to me. Under the auspices of the first special session, you could argue that it was not legally within the confines of the governor's proclamation.
That's the thing. His proclamation said they need to deal with Medicaid expansion, right? By voting it down, they dealt with it.
Right.
By not approving Erins Law, they're dealing with his proclamation. The idea of being within the confines of his proclamation, I find it's a stick that the governor has used to try to move his agenda along. I mean, Erins Law, I don't think should be debated. It's not contentious. What is the problem with educating kids about what the hell sexual abuse is, especially in our state?
I agree to a point. Like, number one, it's not controversial. The problem is Senator Dunleavy's changes has made it controversial because he basically removed all the teeth from it. I would disagree with you in the one sense that under the first special session, I think there was a constitutionality issue in terms of, like, let's say, take Medicaid, for instance. If they took a Medicaid bill and then they added the Knickarn Bridge into the Medicaid bill, that's warping the actual
Is that horse
focus.
trading? Is that sausage making, or is that?
I think it's defying the intent of the proclamation. Now, to agree with you in another respect, we're not in the first session anymore. We're in the second special session, which the legislature called, and that means they call the shot. So now that committee substitute that Senator Dunleavy's introduced, there's no constitutionality issues because it's the purview of the legislature. So we are just actually arguing the merits of the bill now, rather than whether we should be.
John, I think we have gotten into the weeds on this. I'm going to share Alaska Commons website up on our Facebook page. Follow Alaska Commons either on Facebook, on Twitter, on all the other places you guys are for more updates and following along with this bill as it winds its way through the snake-like halls of the LIO building. You got big plans for Memorial Day?
Just having a barbecue, doing the American thing.
Are you going to grill something?
Absolutely.
Well, grilling something is not barbecuing something. Barbecue is low and slow with smoke, sir. So, are you going to barbecue or are you going to grill?
I'm going to put a thing in my barbecue and I'm going to eat it. I'm going to rinse, repeat, and I'm going to watch baseball a lot. And you were talking earlier about how the Kansas City Royals have the best winning record. I would point out that in the month of May thus far, who has the best winning record?
I'd tell you, we'll talk about that in October.
Okay, I hope so.
Who was it? I don't even know.
Is the World Series champions the San Francisco Giants?
Oh, well, come on, jeez. Baseball only gets interesting toward the end of the fall. I am excited that my Royals are doing so well because it's just so unlike the Royals.
Royals are a great team. They're a a lot of fun to watch.
They are. The small ball has been exciting. I know Shelley, as a Detroit Tigers fan, can appreciate just how great the Royals are playing. Maybe not. I don't know. John, I guess we're sort of short on time, so I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you so much for making time out of your busy weekend to join us.